Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA stock. Let's go over what has happened to this poor stock, what we can expect moving forward and all that stuff. So if you enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis and you want these updates and my thoughts and updates on the charts, essentially, as the market is trading throughout the actual trading day, every single day, or pretty much every single day. Tomorrow I'm away on vacation, but pretty much every single day. Again, just $3 a month. You get access to my posts, thoughts, updates, mainly on Tesla stock, just $3 a month, sometimes other stocks as well. Link is below if you're interested for the YouTube membership. It is a private group, of course. Or $5 a month gives you access to the second tier, which also includes NVIDIA plus Tesla. That's actually the most popular one. They have more people in the second tier than the first tier. But yeah, nonetheless, if you're interested, that is below. But jumping into it, NVIDIA closing the day down 7%, which, is pretty bad, but nice recovery towards the end of the day, shaving off 3% of the pain. But not too bad, closing at $104.50 per share, which compared to the market, of course, is going to be, you can argue, in line with the market, honestly. So obviously NVIDIA, off of the news that happened post hours yesterday on, I believe Trump was restricting the H100s being sold to China, I believe it was. And I think they're taking like a $6 billion hit to their bottom line, something along the lines of that. All right. Essentially bad news came out. NVIDIA tanked like 6% and it closed about 7%. So, it kind of ultimately closed where it almost opened roughly, right? Which, all things considered is not the worst thing in the world, especially considering the last, 15 or so 30 minutes or so, very strong bounce came in, which I was talking to members about this $100 psych level. Now, does this mean that NVIDIA is done and hey, that's it, nice little drop, and now we're just ready to go back to all-time highs? Hey, that's it, guys. Congratulations, you survived the crash. Not necessarily, right? Not necessarily. There's still work to be done. I don't think NVIDIA is done whatsoever. I actually think there's still potential pain, more pain ahead. Now, the way I'll be looking at it is pretty simple. So the first level was this 100 level psych level, right? Which we talked about yesterday on the Fibonacci's. I mentioned, if you take the Fibonacci's, you have, the first level is 104, which is at 382, which is where it kind of stalled in the morning. You can see stalled right around that, gave up, came right down to the next level of the Fibonacci's, the 0.5, which is at pretty much $100 per share, and then bounce off of that. I'm personally not the biggest fan of the 0.5 level. It's there because, it does sometimes work. I personally want to see a drop down closer to the 618 Fibonacci, sitting at around 97.5. Even better for me personally, as someone that's absolutely excited to add or rather build a position on NVIDIA. I currently have no shares. I sold like a few days ago when it was at 110, I believe it was. I would love to add at 92, right? That would be even better. So those are the main levels I'll be looking for. And like I said, I mentioned these Fibonacci levels mainly because NVIDIA did ultimately break this high over here with this little push up over here, which is theoretically a good news for bulls, right? That is supposedly, theoretically, in this market, it is kind of a theoretical thing because you never know in this market, but it should be a good sign for the bulls. Which is why I'm looking at the Fibonacci from down to up on a bullish retracement, which is what I'm currently viewing this as. Obviously, if we start losing these lows back here, that's no longer a bullish retracement. But at the moment, I am looking at it as more of a bullish retracement, mainly because we broke that high all the way up here. So let's see how that plays out ultimately moving forward. But the first level, is this kind of 100 level. That's a level that it has found the bounce from. But again, I personally really like when it comes to the 618 Fibonacci's and especially that 786 all the way down here. This to me is the sweet spot. Like this is where I start getting greedy, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Here it's like, maybe, it could. But, it's not as guaranteed in my opinion. It's not as safe or whatever the case may be, though it could be that spot. It could just bounce from here. Congratulations, But, I really like it down here. This is where I get excited, right? These kind of retracements down here, that's where I get excited. Whether we get that or not is a different story entirely. Nobody knows. But that's just, probability-wise where I get more excited and more confident in, this working out in my favor, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now, with that being said, though, however, there is a bullish scenario setting up for NVIDIA here, assuming this $100 level holds, which it could, you never know. But assuming it holds, you have this potential bullish head and shoulders pattern where you can see as the stock pretty much came all the way down to pretty much right around these levels here. Nice little bounce, came down lower, bounced up higher to the neckline essentially again. So this is the neckline right here, came back down to pretty much roughly the same levels, and now it could potentially bounce. Now, the only way for this head and shoulders, oops, this looks like a face. The only way for this head and shoulders pattern to really truly be, I guess, valid, if you will, and actually play out accordingly is a break above the neckline. That's like that's for like a more guaranteed aspect of it, right? Because ultimately the way they play head and shoulders, right? If you look at it, bullish head and shoulders. you want to break above that specific point. I don't know why it's showing me. I type bullish head and shoulders and it's giving me bearish head and shoulders. I mean, whatever. Okay, here we go. Right, so you can see on this one. Hopefully, I'm not blocking it. I'm not. Right, so you can see both of them. Right, the inverse is the bullish one. Downtrend. Right, you have the head, which is pretty much down over here. Then you have the right shoulder, which is exactly what we're starting to set up over here. At least for now, is what it looks like. And the breakout is the neckline. Right, the neckline, of course, you can see is pretty much right around this kind of 111 to as high as 114, 113, somewhere around that $3-ish range is where that neckline sits. And that's where the bulls, for this really to truly play out, want to break above and go. You can see kind of like what it looks like over here, right? That's where it really confirms the pattern on a much higher degree of confidence. So let's see if that plays out. Obviously, I'm personally someone that likes to snipe bottoms a bit more, so I like to buy on massive support like this. I didn't personally buy any today, mainly because I'm going away tomorrow and I can't monitor it. I'd rather be able to monitor it. But yeah, so anyways, the point is the fact that, those are the main levels I'm still looking at, right? This is one of the major levels for sure, but from a more greedy perspective, I want to see 97 to as low as even closer down to this lows down here at 93. This is where I get really excited again, right? This to me is a very bullish retracement from the lows all the way over here to the recent highs we set all the way here at 115. This to me right here is the true sweet spot. So we could get a small bounce from here and then make one more like lower, and then we continue from there, right? Because usually these kind of bounces, what they do is they suck in people that are like, wow, the bottom's in. Buy, just for it to tank one more lower. Those people panic out, they stop out, they exit, and then it actually rallies. It happens pretty often. So let's see how that plays out. RSI is almost entered oversold territories. One of my main conditions to really start looking for entries in stocks is the RSI in the 1 hour needs to be pretty much at or into oversold territories, like more meaningfully. That's where I start eyeballing for potential entries. We're not there just yet. We kind of tapped it, but we're pretty close. We got pretty close on the lows of the day. So let's see how this plays out. Again, especially going to the long weekend. I can't imagine too many people are going to want to hold too many positions going into a long weekend, because with this administration, you really just don't know what they're going to say next. You really don't. Jay Powell today wasn't very happy with the market, so let's see how that plays out. But that's kind of the majority of what I got. Also, just FYI, I will not be uploading tomorrow. I will be out of town tomorrow, so I will upload what should be tomorrow's video over the weekend instead on Sunday. So definitely look forward to that instead. But yeah, that's kind of my overall perspective. And of course, we have the weekly time frame, which is still kind of the main thing that's still, I can't get over this. This weekly is something else. I'm definitely not a fan of this weekly still, right? This weekly is still looking questionable to me, which is why I'm not just rushing in to buy the dip on NVIDIA. I'm patient with this one, right? That's one thing that's been working out very well for me. I've been very, very patient on NVIDIA, and I've avoided like 90% of this pain. I've obviously gotten clipped by it here and there. Of course, I'm not perfect, but I've avoided like 90% of this drawdown and this pain because I'm just very patient with the stock. I don't know what it is about the stock. I just don't get FOMO. I'm perfectly fine missing it if I have to. But that also means that I'm more okay with waiting for what I perceive to be a better entry, which, like I said, I just showed you, is like 97 to 92. That to me is like the kind of the sweet spot for now, at least. But yeah, anyways, so that's all I got for you. So yeah, not much more to update, I think. Again, no video tomorrow. Keep that in mind. That will be out on Sunday instead. In terms of options flow, NVIDIA, pretty mixed flow throughout the day. Nothing really, at least towards the end of the day, we got some bullish flow for 417, which is for tomorrow. So some bullish flow did come in for tomorrow. Maybe we get a quick little pop tomorrow. But in terms of confirmed bearish or bullish flow over here on NVIDIA, it's only 20 million confirmed bearish flow. Nothing too crazy. So let's see how this plays out into tomorrow and really into the long weekend. We'll see if anything happens over the long weekend. That's a big question mark here. But, there is a potential bullish pattern setting up for the bullish head and shoulders, assuming 100 holds. I personally don't think it's going to hold. That's just my honest opinion. The only way it'll hold is if the Qs actually break above this red trend line, which it's not there just yet. That would need to be like 460 break again. But hey, you never know. It's not impossible. It's not impossible, but I do want to see lower. I personally want to see under 100 again. That's where I start getting excited. But that's just me. I could be wrong. Maybe I'll miss the boat entirely. I don't know. But that's my perspective. So let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you tomorrow. Or not tomorrow. I'll see you on Sunday. Peace.